Sorry, we're live.
Can I go now?
Mhm.
Well, let's start again. Thanks everyone for being here, and those who are going to join us later. Thanks for watching. We're going to have another conversation about our country, and there are a few things I want to say, to start today. Um, the first thing I want to hop on is what are we making a case for? Why do we always do this? Um, we do this for a reason. And the reason is we try to make the case that leadership matters. Whenever you look at any nation who's been successful, and I know this point we have made ad nauseum over and over again. Whenever you view any nation that's been successful, what you learn is the type of people, the decision makers, is what caused it, is what led the turnaround. We're not the first nation to be stuck in poverty. Many other nations did it. I usually talk with the Southeast Asian nation countries. The reason why I bring that up, is because this is a living, breathing example of not a theory, something that people tried and had a they had a premise, they had an assertion, and they had a theory, and then worked on it and executed. And because they did those things, their country improved greatly. And very important because they went from abject poverty to having a better economy than the United States per capita. Okay. So if you think about something that has worked in other places and tried and true, it worked back then, it worked for those countries in the 70s. Today, Saudi Arabia is a country that is doing it. It's working for them. Um, Vietnam is a country that's doing it. It's working for them. Um, Rwanda is a country that's doing it now. So this is something that's tried and true. The recipe is there to build your country. What we are saying from our country is the fact that the type of leaders that we pick, we select, are not the right leaders. So why is that? Why is that? I do want us to start today talking about what happened in Liberia recently. Well, yesterday, the chaos between the executive branch, two entities, the army and the police. And what is that emblematic of? Does that give you any insight into what's going on? Is it bigger than just a fight between two entities, two agencies in the government? And my answer to you is yes. It is symptomatic of what's going on in the government. Think about what's going on with LDEA, people fighting each other. Anyone who's been in any leadership role knows that the way the subordinates perceive the leaders is how they're going to proceed. I'm going to say it again. The way they perceive the leaders, how they're going to proceed. So if you look at any home, any organization, any school that has chaos and infighting, that's because the leader doesn't have it. That's a poor leader. And in industries where they get rid of leaders and CEOs, that leaders is done away with. I will go back to what I said last week. I want to repeat it. When you study bees, I learned this not too long ago. When you study bees, they live in colonies. And if that colony is very aggressive, they're attacking people, they're attacking each other. The way you save the beehive, you know how you save them? You literally have to remove the queen, the leader. And if that doesn't work after you remove the queen because these bees are so accustomed to being aggressive, you have to eliminate the whole colony. But eliminating our colony is not an option. The one thing we haven't tried is pick a different queen, pick a different leader. This is nature telling you. Just like airplanes were modeled after birds and and different things in society was modeled after what was saying in nature. Nature is telling you leadership matters. Leadership matters greatly. So I want us to talk about that today. I want us to start and talk about the chaos we see between the army and the police, and what does that mean, and how barbaric we look, and how unorganized we look. And if anybody who's racist or regionalist look at us, what would they say? What would the outside world say about us if they saw that about our government, about just our unity or disunity? What would they say? It's an embarrassment, and anyone who's not embarrassed about that, that's treasonous. That's betrayal. So I want us to talk about that today, y'all. So if we can, and let's jump into it and what your thoughts are. You're still muted. You're still muted.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. And again, Peter, I welcome you, or thank you for being here. Thursday Night Talk. Welcome again to Second Thought Africa. Yes. In fact, that we should all be alarmed. If you're a Liberian that cares, especially those of us who endure the war. You know, you're talking about the bees and the beehive and all of that. But we say in Mano, you must cut off the head of the dragon. And that's the way that you say it. That's the leader. Okay, because when you cut it off, then the rest of the body it's not gonna work per se. Now, the first time that I saw the Liberian army was 1979. That they came out. The second time that I saw them was 1980, which was not good. I mean, the people were tired. When you see people getting in the street and yelling for the army, and the police supposed to be in close connection with the people because they are the internal manager and peacekeepers and protecting the people to serve and protect. I saw the people clapping for the army instead, yelling for the army. That means the police have lost trust with the people. Whether we want to hear that, whether we don't want to hear that, that's what I saw. Okay. Hopefully other people can bring their view to this conversation. It was very embarrassing. I would think people in uniform supposed to be in brotherhood. There should be some sort of code between them. Okay. Because they're all supposed to be serving and protecting. In this case, it is not. In fact, first, they beat up an army guy because he got a ride. And as I'm told, he identified himself. In fact, just tonight, I think about 45 minutes to an hour ago, I saw police brutalizing a man that was trying to get on a bus. I'm not sure what's going on there because I don't want to speak out of terms of something I don't know. We'll find out the truth and then we'll come back and talk about it. But when we as Black people, we as African, we as Liberian, the people who take oath to serve and protect the nation, you see both groups. All right. Liberia does not have enough police to go to war among themselves or to go to war with the army. The army is supposed to protect both the outside and the inside of Liberia. The police are supposed to work within Liberia. And we saw lately, Peter, the other day we had this conversation here. Remember when that little boy was stoned at 72nd and they were taking rock and, we can't say everything. And when Gregory Coleman was interviewed, he said they arrested 4 persons, but they cannot put them at the site. They could not identify them. Imagine, Peter, in 2025, the digital age, where in less than 5 minutes, the people could identify the victim, there was a man, a grown man who were out there threatening he is going back to unalive him with his face in the camera, asking the people to record him. How big is Liberia? That the police chief cannot find some vigilante who unalive someone, somebody, I don't care what his crime was, whether he stole a Louis Vuitton, whether he stole a motorbike, it's $850. Whether he stole a car that you publicly, it's like, those days in this country where they would put the black people outside, put tire on them, or just whoop them like that, or stone them to literally to death.
Yeah, lynchings.
Yes, that's what they did to that young man. Today, now we see the police fighting among each other. What does that say about the nation? Should the people be afraid? Should they be alarmed? Should people start washing out? What do you think, guys? Those of you under this, we're not trying to make money out of molehill, but you know what? When you live through stuff, when you experience these things, you know those tall signs or tales that Peter said. If you study the word, you study other people, culture, other things, you know what set up the fire. There she is. Nyama is she was to tell us herself. Work on Nyama. Okay. So Peter, come back, then Nyama will come in. We'll work on her from where she in the corner somewhere around the world. So Peter, that's I'm alarmed. It's scary. Okay. I think there's a cause for us for this to be addressed and to be addressed now.
So I want to pick up where you left off, y'all.
Okay.
So the people who are here watching,
mm-hmm.
I believe we're the lucky ones. And let me explain why. Often when I'm in these heated, ugly debates with our people back home about them protecting people who are absolutely bad for our culture, they would say things like, "Oh, you got lucky just because of the war, you got to go to America." And I respond by saying, "Yeah, I'm lucky. A lot of my family members didn't make it to America because they got killed in the war. A lot of my loved ones, my friends that I grew up with in Buchanan, in Habel, in Gardnersville, they didn't make it out, or they're stuck in Liberia. So we are lucky. But here's what the lucky comes in. What separates a human from an animal is our ability to be sapient. That means intelligent. So when you're a sapient being, what matters is information and discernment. We were lucky enough to come to another people's country and saw how it was set up. We are lucky enough to get information. So as we speak, I saw in one of your posts, someone said to Yasendi, "Oh, just because you're in America means you know it all, or whatever you know." Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. It means that we live in a culture and a society where we're exposed to things that some people are not exposed to. Doesn't mean that we look down on people, but it's just that if you said 220 feet, a feet is a feet. Doesn't matter how you're measuring it. A feet is a feet. It's just distance between 2 points. So for you to say, "Oh, you can't Google this," or yes, you can. I can 100% Google it. If you tell me 20 feet is 20 feet, okay, it's a reference point. So we are lucky to be here, and for those with great opportunity comes great responsibility.
Yes.
So our responsibility is back to our brothers and sisters back home, our cousins, our loved ones. Guys, we should be ashamed of what's going on in Liberia. You do know, and to me, that's a part of the failure of the Liberian education system. Liberia was a country founded that was supposed to speak to the greatness of Black people.
Yeah.
Liberia was supposed to be a country that says if you give a chance to Black people, yes, they can do it just as well or better.
Yep.
For us to have devolved into what we are, where the police and the army, where we take to these industrialized country is literally hand feeding us, giving us rice, and still taking care of us like we are homeless people. It is an embarrassment to the ideals of Liberia, of what we were supposed to be. It is an embarrassment. It is as if your family is supposed to be this really well-off family, and someone saw you in the street begging for money. That's what this is. Think about it. Whenever African Americans talk about going back to Africa, they talk about Ghana. Do you know where they have the real connection to? Liberia.
Liberia. Yes.
They didn't go back to Ghana. They came to Liberia. Liberia is where these people are supposed to come. It's where the tourists are supposed to come. We are supposed to show them this is where the Congo people live. This is what we are supposed to be doing. We were never colonized. We are supposed to be the beacon in Africa. It's us in Ethiopia. Nobody colonized us. Other countries, America has poured billions into us by now. Okay, and look where we are. And why are we where we are? Because of the type of leaderships that we pick, leaders we pick. It is an embarrassment, people. And if you're not embarrassed about that, there is something simply wrong with you. There are some people who don't mind standing on the corner begging for money. Well, if I saw my family member doing that, it would literally destroy my soul. And that's what we are. We are beggars. And we are defending people who are keeping us enslaved. And every Liberian should know that. You saying that I'm a Liberian should be something of pride. You should walk around and say, I'm Liberian. You know that one African country that escaped slavery and did it better than the European countries? Liberia should be way ahead of where other countries are. A country like Rwanda, we should be way better. We should already be making cars, cell phones, computers, chips, all that. But we keep picking the same type of leaders. And to be honest with you, I'm simply embarrassed. Professionalism matters. Yes, Cindy. As a leader, right, as a head coach, every little thing that goes on my team is my responsibility. Before they hire you to do a job, like they hire you to do a job at university, I had to go through at least 5 interviews for each of those positions. They kick the tire, they check every little thing. Everything matters. When you look at our police officers and they're wearing sneakers with their uniforms and it's oversized, that tells you everything you need to know. When they have to be beggars in the street and extorting people, that tells you everything about the leaders. It's all so the vision of the leader doesn't even see how important that little bit is. Of course they're gonna fight. Of course they're gonna be hitting people over the head. When's the last time they went to professionalism training? Even the person who's leading us, what has he led successfully? He's been in government since 1970s. In the 1980s, he stole from the PL480 program when he was put in charge of LPMC. People said, why was he elected? Well, because he's a tribalist. That's why he was not elected. He's a tribalist. That's why he's in all these governments. He can get votes from rural people who don't know any better. We need to look at leadership. We need to look at who we pick as leaders and why we're picking them. We need to live up to our ideas of what Liberians is supposed to be. We should be ashamed. That's my only thing. This is why I fight so hard. We should be ashamed of where we are. We shouldn't be having those zing houses like we have right now. We should be way more modernized. Where's all our money going? We are literally allowing people to steal from our poor people. Yes, maybe it doesn't affect us directly, but it does affect us when it affects the people who we love, when it affects our homes, when people, Cindy, you were telling the story about how you were showing pictures and you had to give a disclaimer. It shouldn't have to be like that because we're a small country with very, very intelligent people. And these people, it's the Stockholm syndrome. These people don't even know they're enslaved. When we have rice coming in from Japan and the rice is being sold to Lebanese people And then instead of people saying, what's going on with this rice and how's the money, they'll say, oh, been having since Ellen time, been happening since.
Ellen time, Saint Taylor time. Yep.
Where you're making excuses for some absolutely horrendous things. And my point is, a lot of us are not even confronting it. Are you comfortable with that? And then we're so quick to say we're proud to be a Liberian. What are we proud of? Let's be honest. What are you proud of? If that was your home, would you be okay with that if that's where you're dwelling? And we need to do something. We have to. It's not just pointing out the wrongs in the country. Some people are like, oh, why don't you offer solution? Well, it's not my place to offer solution. I'm just a citizen, and I'm saying this is not right. I'm pointing it out so next time you vet the leaders. You ask them real questions.
I like that.
I'm saying this so you ask Joseph Boycott to come on the radio and take an interview and take questions from the general public or from a real journalist. We want to hear his economic worldview. How do you plan on creating jobs? We want to hear that. We need to hear that. And we need to demand that he says those things. That's why I'm fighting. I want the citizens to get angry enough to say, let's ask some questions. When are you going to create schools? How are we going to get money for schools? What type of schools are we going to are we going to create STEM schools? Do you have an educational worldview? Healthcare. We have all of our women who are into healthcare. So many experts. When are you going to tap into the diaspora? Just what are your plans for our country? And people act like this man owns the country. How is he more of a citizen than you are? And why are you okay with that? With a con man taking advantage of people? And if it's not just a boycott, somebody else, why aren't you asking real questions? And why are we so laid back about it? Aren't you embarrassed? Look in the streets, go to Liberia, look at the babies selling on the road. Look how we're subservient to Lebanese people. You ever went to the supermarket in Liberia, how they're standing over their shoulders of the people ringing things up? You're okay with that? We're living like slaves, and those people are slave drivers. They're overseers. How are you comfortable with that as a Liberian? Why aren't you embarrassed? How come you're not ashamed? Do you not have any real pride? So anyway, that's how I see this whole thing, right? When's the last time you took out soldiers for professionalism training? Because professionalism matters. Because when you're professional, there's a certain way you don't carry yourself doing your job. You just don't.
Thank you,
So
Peter.
I'll stop here for now.
Okay. So let's bring Senior Mount on. Senior Mount, we're a little bit taking it back for and you know this, those of us who are survivor, who were alive and a little older when the war took place or when 1979 happened. It seems that we're losing control. Nobody spoke up when the soldiers were beaten. 3 days later, the soldiers come out into the street. Today, I guess they're demanding that they come out and apologize. And this is what we're talking about. We think, and then let's get your thought. I particularly think that is very scary. It's not just, is it unprofessional, it's dangerous to the survivor of the nation. It threatens the safety of the people, of the nation, both externally and internally. What's your thought?
Good afternoon, good evening from where I come. I guess it's good evening for you guys, but it's good night for me.
Right.
I just want to say good evening to Coach Q. How are you, my brother? I hope all is well. Um, Welcome on my end from my neck of the woods. It's the last day of February. It's the second to the last day from you guys' end. It's actually the 28th here, and I guess it's the 20, still the 27th, 5 hours behind. Good evening to Mrs. Yesenia Martin Faye,
Good evening,
our
sis.
own voice of the voiceless, our advocator since she was 13 years old and she's like around, she's flirting with the line of
Oh my
60
God,
years old
you need
right
to see my
now.
age. Hello.
I
I'm
mean,
just
you're flirting with the line of um three scores. I'll put it that way. It's three scores.
right.
And my own boss lady, thank you for committing your time and your tenacity. So, good evening. Usually, I say good evening from Pataskala, Columbus, Ohio, but today I have a different navigation address. And I would say to all the second thoughts viewers and all the Yosemite Martin Bay viewers and all the Peter Quake, I call him Coach Q viewers. I want to say, and all the Yamabia Calling viewers, I want to say good evening from the Liberia, Monrovia, Liberia. I
We
am
finally made it back time.
broadcasting live from Robertsville Highway from Monrovia, Liberia.
They will come find you.
Um, yes.
Your brother, they
What
will
is
come
on my
find you.
mind?
Keep
What is
talking.
on my mind? I hear my greetings from Liberia. Liberia is all of us home. I bring you greetings from Liberia. I also be bring you greetings from the Bean family. We are bereaved. Our oldest uncle passed away.
Oh my God.
I came for the funeral. That I bring you greetings from that. I also bring you greetings from the Johnson Smith family, in whom my own trailblazer, one of my trailblazers, Mrs. Gwen Johnson Smith, mother and one of the matriarch passed away. So I bring you greetings from there. I'm in Liberia and I'm happy. But I've been in Liberia less than 72 hours and the plot thickens. Less than 24 hours ago, our Liberian National Police and our NFL were in a scuffle yesterday. That broke my heart. It was graphic. It was all the regular televisions here. I learned it also from another network on the Blue app on Facebook.
Wow.
I was so excited. I've been here less than 72 hours, but 24 hours ago. The entity that took an oath to serve and protect. We should the Liberian police, national police, and our military, the NFL. What NFL means? I don't know what the F means. National
AFL.
some what?
Yeah. Armed Forces of Liberia. AFL.
The AFL. Sorry, not NFL. AFL. You know, I can always count on Coach Q to make the historical correction. So the AFL and our national police that did take an oath in both graduation to serve and protect. And it was really disheartening yesterday that it was really brutal, it was graphic. Thank God nobody lost a life, but blood was drawn and cares is used.
Okay. So Peter, you have any addition to add to that, and then we
Yeah,
can.
so I can jump in where she left off, right?
Okay. Yes.
I think Yama
They
was talking about.
harmonized my I got LZ. Well, we're doing live. I just went blank, but it came back. Thank God for Jesus.
Okay.
Um, So I don't know where I stopped, but I was saying less than 72 hours. There was a big scaffold. The disheartening part of it, I adopted some kids in 2016, and today was the first day that I went out to go see Monrovia, and I went to them, and one of the little kids told me, "It's Yama." Did you see the NFL people and the AFL people, the police people going with CIA? I just said, no, I did not see that Peter. His name is Peter. I said, no, I did not see it, Peter. His name is, the little boy name is actually Peter. He's just light skinned. And I know I didn't, oh, you see on your phone that you get on? Oh, and when I eat it. So right there, I always like to ship a moment. I said, what do you want to be when you want to bring grow up, Peter? He's like, not AFL or police officer. In his Liberian accent. That crushed my heart. I know the work that we do on Second Thought is really in the big scheme of Liberia. We are doing our part. Today, my heart was cracked. And the people that soar to serve and protect was going at it. It was a sad day yesterday in Liberia. And my heart ached. But because we are three of us that have committed to do this work for the next 6 years, we just got to do the work. But it's a sad day in Liberia because what happened is investors, we are giving justification to the donors that say, I told you they were barbaric. I told you they were from S-hole country. It was a sad day yesterday. I didn't go out yesterday, but because I didn't want to be in the fray. I was tempted to go out in the video tape. I'm like, Yerma, my husband, like, Yerma, stay home. But it was really sad. Your first 48 in the country that you love and the people that soar to serve and protect. Somebody beat a police officer instead of them finding the particular person. It was a rampage in Monrovia, and I was in the thick of it. So
That's
that's what's on my mind.
Can you please block that monkey bar, whatever his name is? I can't even see.
Monkey bar? Where?
No, I'm calling him a monkey. Can you
Oh,
block
Lord.
him? I'm asking. Block him.
Okay, that person. Okay, that's fine. I'm about to. Yes. Yamanda,
That's
Peter,
what's on my mind. So we can move on this show. But just last night, to tell you guys, I was really excited about Liberia. I just spoke to Lacini. You know, I can come Liberia or call him my boss lady. And we had a nice conversation yesterday. I was excited. But I had to fake it last night after I learned what happened. And I purposely and intentionally didn't bring it up when I had a conversation with her because I've already gotten over it when I call her. And I didn't want to resurrect that feeling of what I had earlier in the day, what had happened. So it's like I took an oath as a nurse to serve and do no harm. And yeah, you are in the streets of Monrovia, me as a nurse and doctors and other healthcare professionals going at it, physically, drawing blood. Think about young, and then that little boy telling me today, I don't want to be a police officer. So just flip the story. I like my family call me the queen of technology. But think about it was in my profession and a little girl telling me, oh, one thing I know I don't want to be is a medical doctor or a nurse. After what I saw today, that was heartbreaking.
Thank you, Sister Ma. Let's get Peter to come in, and then we're gonna go to the next topic.
Okay, good.
I'm glad you made it home safely. God bless. Yes, let's Peter, you can take it and then close us. But I think like people need to wake up. Yes.
So I think it's unfortunate that it is really hard because you cannot. I've come to realization, and I came to a realization a while ago that you cannot deal with a lot of our people with civility. You just can't, right? You can't have a civil conversation, and it makes sense why we had the war, the type of war we had that ripped babies out of the bellies of our moms, or just shot each other, or just the carnage. Everything makes sense. When I was younger, the war made no sense to me. After interacting with our people in the interaction, everything makes sense to me now. The lack of civility, the lack of just the lack of humility towards each other. Anything short of you being a vicious savage to them is not an environment that you can function in with a lot of these people. I want to talk about two things. Last week there was a video circulating on the internet where mob violence.
Yeah.
I guess this guy stole something.
Mm-hmm.
They took this man and took his clothes off and put him on top of a red ants pit.
Yeah.
And it made him sit there. And the ants is biting him. And he's sitting there. And they're forcing him to sit there. And he had to sit there.
Torture. Yes.
And they were torturing him. Here's what's crazy about that video, right? Here's what's sad and it's barbaric, it's uncivilized, it's primitive. They posted proudly. And there were people under that video laughing.
And the police never went to find them either.
Not understanding the joke is on us.
Yep.
I want to go back to, aren't you embarrassed? And these are the people that's the country we have. You're torturing a man because you say he stole something. How about the people how about Young B, Conga Lawrence, and Joseph Boyka, who is stealing millions from you?
Yeah.
You're going to torture them too? Or they're better because they got a job title? We have to understand you can't live like that. So it makes perfect sense that the police will fight each other. That's the country we have. The question I'm going to go back to is, what are we going to do about it? I'm embarrassed. And because I'm embarrassed, just like if my own child or my family members was doing something that was bringing a shame and disrepute to the family, I'm going to say something in the most vocal way. You're embarrassing our family. The things that's going on in Liberia, not only because of how we are living is embarrassing, the things that we are doing currently is an embarrassment. Okay, we're not living up to the ideals. If anyone went and looked back on why Liberia was founded, who founded Liberia, and researched us, we have fallen so far from where we were supposed to be. Okay, Seychelles was talking about upholding the Constitution and the rule of law. You have a president who is interfering in the legislative branch when we have separation of powers for a reason. So if the president himself is not upholding the Constitution, he took an oath to, why would anyone else do it? We have to understand that all these little things matters. All of it matters. If we're not ready to follow the rule of law, it's not a luxury. We're not going to have a country. My question is, what are we going to do about it? And first of all, aren't we embarrassed what our country is? Do we really believe this is the best we can possibly be? And secondly, what are we going to do about it? It's a shame, Yasendi. For me, this is one of the biggest driving forces. Not only the fact that they're bullying people and taking advantage of people. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of our country. Okay, what Godfrey talk about, we're going to just go to new donors. How about you come up and tell us how you're going to generate money based on what we already have? Are you telling us we're not intelligent enough to do that? No, maybe you are not. Maybe someone else should do the job there. Because I believe we are. Not only do I believe we are, I know we are. There are professionals who can do that job that you're doing right now much better and based on merit. We're just going to diversify our begging. What are you saying about us? And you represent us. That's why I'm embarrassed. Because when Joseph Boycott goes out there and falls asleep or don't know what to say, he's supposed to represent.
Did you just diversify begging instead of diversifying our wealth and portfolio?
Exactly.
No. He said we're going to reach out to new partners. They're going to diversify. They're going to go out and get new partners. And
that's what I'm saying. That the thing about diversifying begging is still begging. But I digress. Go ahead, Coach Q. Sorry for interrupting.
What I'm saying is, we are better than that.
Yes, we are.
Unless you're saying we're not. And then I'm saying, then you shouldn't be in a leadership role. You shouldn't. It angers me because I'm embarrassed. They say, what can make a man shame can make the man vex, right? That's why I'm vexed. Because you're literally telling the world this is the best we have to offer. No, our children are brilliant.
Yep.
They're extremely talented.
Yep.
Why aren't they competing in the world? I coach them. I teach them compared to other kids from other immigrant communities. Our kids are talented. We have a bright future if we just invest in those people. And then, Yasendi, here's another reason why I'm so harsh on these people. When you say things like, well, we can do better than that. Oh, just because you lost the election, you're literally telling us this is the best that we have to offer. And we're saying, no, it's not. And if you think you're the best, you shouldn't be in the front of our lines. Go in the back of the line. Go in the back of the line, because there are people who believe we could do better. And I'm one of them. A lot of us know that. And we need to confront these people, because if we just keep letting their voices be heard, let them be in front of the line, it's not going to end. Let me give you one last example. Yes. Well, we'll come to that later when we get to the other topic.
Okay. So, guys, listen up. We told you we're going to have an engineer, okay, on the line. So after this topic, we're going to bring him on, and we're going to talk about the building, the 250 feet building that will put up 50-foot building that will put up by water tower. I've seen water towers, we call it reservoir in the United States. Before we had main lines, that's what we use to run water into houses. Okay. So he's gonna be here to talk to us, and there are other people out there that reach out to. Liberian people have to understand, Peter, and I think a lot of people don't understand. When me as an educator, or me as an informed person or well-learned person, I don't particularly have to sit and wait for somebody to come. I have the responsibility, even if I'm bringing an expert in that field, I have the responsibility to go out and do my own research. The Peter said, 12 inches are 12 inches. It don't matter if you say in Mano, you say in Kru, you say in Kran, you say in Bassa, Bravo, it's 12 inches. When you put it in English, it is 12 inches. When you use the ruler, the measurement is going to be the same. Right, Peter? So, now, we see, and Peter, I think he's here. So you want us to go to that, then we end up to the finance part?
Absolutely.
Okay. So let me bring him on. So let me see. Dr. Kweye, good evening. Welcome to Second Thoughts. There are three of us here. That's Mrs. Bien, Mr. Coach Q, we call him that. You know, Peter. So let me not be, you got it. You know, Peter, all day. So, and we wanted to get a voice. Peter is big about having experts when things come. It gives voice and give credibility to when we are having a conversation. But let me let Peter start, and maybe he can say it better than I'm saying it now.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was grifting. And let me define grifting for the audience. Grifting is, and here's the thing: Liberia is not the only country who has done this. Grifting is when government officials take taxpayers' money that was intended to do a project. They overcharge for every little bit of piece of equipment that is needed for that project. They purposely do it. They work with the vendors to charge more so that they can too get a kickback from that, and then they get to keep the money. But it makes the transaction seem legitimate because it's the vendor who is submitting the voucher, who's submitting the receipt. Okay, so when we look at what Mo Ali did, those numbers just look way inflated. And we believe that that's 100% belief is grifting. Not only that, there was no competitive bidding. That's another
Yep.
way you know it's grifting, because those corrupt people will work with people they have worked with. And I know that a couple of things that reading what they're saying, one thing to say was, oh yeah, this company has worked with the World Bank. The World Bank is not a credible organization. The World Bank literally is doing economic imperialism. They're
Yep.
doing predatory loaning with
Loaning.
African countries. They're taking money. So what we wanted, we were hoping, is to look at some of those line items and say, this is not how much that will cost. You don't need 275 feet, because the deeper it is, the more they're going to charge, apparently. And because we're not experts in the field, so they can pass out over people's head, and we would just be like, oh yeah, they pay for that. So we wanted someone who can look at the numbers and let us know if those numbers are even realistic.
Dr. Quaye,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
we can hear you. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so just as a background information, let me provide some information for the audience. So early on in as a matter of fact, my academic background, because where I grew up in Nimba, we lived on the farm, and we dug well on the farm. But for some reason, after a certain depth, we will get water, and then after some time, it will dry off. So it always puzzled me. So as a result, when I went to college, the first thing that I tried to do as a civil engineer, civil engineering has at least 6 or 7 specializations. So the first one that I did was hydrology, or water resources as it's called. So my goal was to learn, how do you go about digging well and that it will last longer. So that was the first thing that I did. And based on our background, when I first moved out to Georgia, so some of the projects we had grants, and many of the rural counties and rural cities, many of them have outhouses and bore well in the backyard. So we're trying to transition them now to pipe-borne water. So we were getting federal block grants. So I was in charge of that based on my background. So I know for a fact that at least 100-gallon capacity tank, elevated tank, at a height of at least 40 feet, that should give you enough water pressure to supply a community of at least 15,000 people. So at that time, we were paying around about $125,000 per unit of installation, just so you know that. And many of our well, we set a limit that you should never drill more than 300 feet. At 300 feet, if you do not get water. So the engineering term is that to hit aquifer. Aquifer is where you have a steady supply of water bed that you can tap into for water. So when I first saw, and the information was provided to me that they drill 750 feet, that kind of puzzled me. Why would somebody want to drill 750 feet? The only place that I know of that you have to drill 700, at least 600 feet to get water would be like in the California desert, in the Mojave Desert in California. That's the only place that I know of. So it kind of puzzled me when I saw that. So there's some clarity that needs to be provided. Is the 750 feet just for one well, or a series of wells that was dug and the total came to 750?
Peter, we have some research to do.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yes.
Saying that you shouldn't even drill more than Dr. Wade, why would you not want to drill more than 300 feet? Is there a scientific reason for that?
Because, okay, so if you want to look at Liberia, because I just told you that the first thing that I did was to do water resource engineering. So in order for my research focus, I had to look for information, and for me, it would be more advantageous to get information on Liberia because that's where I'm from. So information of that nature was kept at the United Nations. And that was the first time I ever ventured into the United Nations complex to go and then to research and get those information from there. So I know for a fact that unless you are in the Lofa region or in the Yekepa region where it's more mountainous, you should never go more than 300 feet without tapping into a water source. So anytime you go beyond that, for Liberia, you don't want to do that because it's not economically feasible. It'll be wasteful because why? In order to get that water from wherever depth you are going to get it from, you have to put in machine or a pump, and that pump requires servicing. So therefore, the deeper you go, the more you have to service that pump that has to go in there. That's the reason why I said it is economically, it's not feasible to do that. So at 300, you should never go more than 300 feet. So most people tend to stop at 300 feet for residential water.
Okay, great point. Yasendi, if I may ask, there was another thing on this list, right? He said for water storage, they spend $17,000 for the storage of water. Yeah, obviously we're going to look at those numbers a little closer. We just got what the itemized list. Yes, for water storage alone, $17,000. Does that sound realistic or feasible or something that should be? Why would you need $17,000 just for storage of water, for the equipment to store water?
Well, the problem is here that because I've seen pictures, it seems that what I saw was those 10-gallon polyethylene black. You saw the plastic pipe of thing, right? The black plastic thing that you saw. Those are polyethylene thing, right? So many of those stuff goes for like about $1,500 a piece, or maybe $500 depending on the holding capacity. So if that's what they're making reference to, because I saw 4 of those over there, so I don't know whether those 4 were totaled up to that amount.
So that hold on one second. Let me come here. Somebody did a research on it and say at City Builders, where they are saying it's 1,500, it's actually 850. Mind you, if they were buying more, they could even negotiate the sub pump. Okay, that they say is 785 solar, 605 solar, 150 lithium battery, $1,550, and they're telling you this is 250. But Dr. Payagwai, I think Peter asked your question. I wanted to ask you though, the very place that this project is taking place, the AMRED built a hospital there, and I believe they have water resources there. Is it close by there? Is that place a desert?
I don't believe that area is a desert, because just looking at the aerial view of what the Emory Hospital is, because I saw the location of the Emory Hospital, and that's located, I think, on the southeastern end of Bopolu City. If you look at the aerial map of Bopolu City, you'll see that it's located in the southeastern quadrant of the city. So if in fact you have a hospital right there, our hospital has to be supplied with water. So my question then is, what is the water source of that, and how far is that from wherever they just did the drilling, where they are saying that they had to go 750 feet? So therefore, when you start to look at and do more analysis, you see that a lot of things do not add up.
So can I jump in real quick? Another thing, just looking at the list, another 2 things here, right? They're talking about PVC pipes and fittings for that little facility we just looked at. One item was DN63, 3,000 feet, I guess. They said that cost us $52,200, and the other set was DN100. It cost us $27,500. Why would you need over almost $80,000 worth of pipes in that little facility to come to the spigot. How realistic is that?
Well, like I said, so we need a lot more details on that because um my thing is that where is your water source? Number one, if you are drilling 750 feet down, then you have to drill in a location where number one, you will not have to run pipes from that location to wherever your storage is going to be. So if that's the case, it's a trade-off issue. Then you want to either you go to where the water source is closer to the surface, where you might drill just maybe 100, at worst case 150 feet. Then maybe you will then pipe the water, and if you are piping the water, that means that you pipe the water out of with a pump to the surface. Then you need another lifting station because as you are carrying the water across, the pressure is going to drop. So you need a lifting station to continue to boost up the pressure of the water in the pipe in order to get it to whatever location you're going. So when you add up all of those things, like I said, until I see a lot of details in how they came up with that calculation, the size of pipes that's going to go in there, the depth, and why are they using, for instance, a 4-inch pipe to go down at that distance? Because the deeper, you got to understand that the deeper you go down, the more pressure you are adding onto something. It's almost like when you see the divers who dive into the ocean. The deeper they go into the ocean, the more pressure it puts on the body and whatever equipment they're using. So just use the same analogy with the pipe as well. The deeper you go down into the ground to get to the water source, the more pressure is being put onto the pipes. So therefore, you have to overcome that pressure in water resources. We'll call that pressure head. You have to account for that pressure head that you're going to lose on that 750 feet to bring it to the surface, and then plus the depth that the ground is kind of pushing against that pipe as well. That crushing the pressure that is being applied to the pipe as well. So you have to account for all of those different things. So that's the reason why I said it don't seem to be economically feasible to have to drive all the way to 750 feet just for water, unless you are in the desert and there's no other way you can get water.
So, Peter, let me ask one question. So, Dr. Koye, give a description, send our people, give a visual. Where does the 750 feet look like? Let's say above ground. Give us an example. Maybe a building, a pool, what would it look like?
Okay. So a typical story building is at least between 10 and 12 feet height per floor. So at 750 feet, you are talking close to a 70-story building. That's how off the ground you are going. That's a level of depth that they had to drill into the ground to get to the water. And then the second question that comes is, who has that kind of equipment, the sophistication of that kind of equipment to be able to drive to that depth?
It's something like this, a building about this size, this tall, like when people, you keep talking. I just wanted to give people a visual. It will look like this, okay, about like this tower. That's what we're talking about. That's how deep they said they dug the ground. And how long did it take them to do it? What equipment did they use? I think Dr. Koye just asked that question. I just want to put that. Go ahead. Peter, I'll keep it all through. I'll take it down.
No, I think it's good for the visual. I really like the point that he's making. Like, where's the equipment? What equipment was used to drill that deep? Especially since we've been told you don't even need that. 300 feet is plenty. So why would you need 700 and how many feet? They said 1,200 feet.
750.
750 feet. But I wanted to ask this question. So it's either one or two ways, right? Either they're drilling into the ground. Doc, correct me if I'm wrong. Either they have one or two options. Either you're digging into the ground 750 feet, or you're getting the water from some reservoir or some water source to have that much pipes. Am I wrong about that? Am I missing something?
So Peter, for me, as somebody with a background in water resources, if my approach was to provide water for the city of Buffalo, what I would have done is first identify a water source, maybe a river or a stream. Then on some part of that water or a stream, I would have set up like a dam type of structure, and then dig, bring in maybe a shovel or a backhoe or whatever it is, and then dig and go further down, maybe 50 to 100 feet, and then allow the water to go in there. Now I have a storage capacity for water. Once I've done that, then on a daily basis, pump that water from there into a pipe and into an elevated tank, treat it, and then allow it to, at that elevation. Now the water will flow under gravity from that elevator tank and then go into the homes. That the approach that I would have used. And in raw resources, we tend to use, we call that the three reservoir theory. That's what we use to do a design of that nature.
So, Doc, I have just a straight up question. Have you seen the picture of the project? Have you seen some pictures of it?
Yeah, what I saw appears to be like a residential type of borehole. It's not, I don't believe it's at a commercial level. You could not possibly supply more than 3 or 4 houses with what I saw, just based on my experience when it comes to well design.
Okay. So, based on your expert opinion, I know you haven't visited the site, you haven't gone there, you haven't actually looked at the document. Just on a surface level, does that look like a project that will cost $250,000 in Liberia?
I don't. I mean, I just looking pictorially. I don't believe it is, unless they come back and give us something, a lot more information on in terms of the design, what went into the design. Before I maybe look at other considerations. But at this point in time, I don't believe the depth was economically feasible to begin with. 750 feet is a lot of depth just to dig to get water, especially in locations such as I see just from the area photos.
So, yeah, if it's okay, I want to ask a follow up.
Yeah, do a follow
If
up and then we will call it
Yes,
and then move on. Yes.
so if you were saying that the depth doesn't sound realistic, why do you think they would pick that number, 750 feet? Why? Just in your expert opinion, why would they say 750 feet when you're saying, well, that number doesn't make too much sense?
Well, I think, well, I don't want to hazard a guess, but my thing is that um, they are trying to provide information, and the information that they are trying to provide, they were trying to overemphasize and overestimate so that it become more realistic on what they thought that intention was going to be. But like I said, from my opinion and my knowledge, I would not drill in Liberia, anywhere in Liberia. I would not drill at more than 300 feet. If I drill down using a specialized equipment at 150, if I don't start to see that sample of rock that would tell me that there's aquifer present, I will look for a new location.
Okay, Peter says Yama. Any question for you? Where is she?
No, I want to say thank you so much. This is helpful. Now you just give us a lot of homework to do, and I'm going to jump on that.
So
And
what
I'm just gonna follow up with Coach Q homework. This is definitely above my pay grade. Thanks, Dr. Faith. for
You need a
enlightening
moderate
us,
space.
but I have no expertise, not even a dap of inclination. I know more Ali, I know what's happening, but I would digress at this moment to make any attempt to an informative or intelligent response. I digress. I can tell you that wherever Dr. Place is, viewers, he's the expert.
Thank you so much, Doc. Can you just give us your closing statement really quickly? What do you want the Liberian people to know? Why did you come on to make this clarity for us? And first of all, let me just say we appreciate you, taking your time to be here to talk to us and just educate all of us on where we are.
Yes,
So that
thank you so much for coming.
yeah,
Thank you, Dr. Place.
yeah, on short notice. So tell us, what message do you want to leave with the Liberian people in your closing statement?
My message to the Liberian people is that ensure that you get value for money in everything that you do, because we have very limited resource of it. Ensure that you always get your value for money. And for those who have a vision of trying to maybe drill for water in your community, if anyone comes and tell you, especially for Liberia, because from my research, the capital of Liberia, which is Monrovia, is the wettest capital in the world.
Do you hear that?
Research shows that the water table is not that deep in Liberia. So therefore, if you intend to drill for water, and drilling for water is one of the best options of getting water, because when you go to actually dig, you are creating a hole that will be a hazard to the community. So therefore, drilling, because with drilling, if there's equipment that's available to be used, they can just start with like an 8-inch drill, and as you go deeper, then they start to switch to a 6-inch drill, and then eventually they cap that, and then put whatever pipe that is going to go in for you to get your water. And don't allow anybody to try to sell you to drill more than 150 feet in Liberia. If you do so, it's not economical for you, because whatever equipment it is, at some point in time, you have to do repair, and going back to retrieve your equipment or your pump to do repair will be more costly than the cost of you trying to drill for water. So that is my um, parting comments for all of us Liberians. Go home, develop your country. If you need to drill for water, make sure you're economical, get a value for money when you're doing your work. Thank
So, Dr. Clay, let me make a statement. You said don't allow anybody to drill more than 150 feet. So, I've buried some people in my life, and it says 6 feet. So, that would be 25, 150. To give you a little visual, divide by 6 feet, it's 25. It's 25. And then divide by 6, so it's 4.1. So, just to give a little visual,
you. Okay.
if you drill,
Uh-huh.
you can bury up to 4.1. Well, we don't have point one human being, but you can bury. It's a full. You can bury full graveyard. So you're saying you don't have to have a hole that can bury up to 4 human beings. You can have a full hole that can give you wealth that can just bury 2 human beings. That's what you can
No,
say.
Well,
I think you were about to say something.
yeah, so
Doc,
I was going to
Doc,
say,
hold on. You're gonna answer that. Why you kind of bring light to what Yama said. Uh, I wanted you, before you leave, what your message to the leaders that we just swapped because of the same
Mm.
reason why we're here. So go ahead, answer, Yama, and then you're speaking to the Liberian people. What your message to the leaders of Liberia, especially those we just elected or we just put in positions.
so as usual, since I don't know many people in Liberia more than 6 feet tall. So I would say, if you will, just line up about maybe 30 individuals, head to feet.
Yep.
Don't drill more than past 30 of them.
Don't drill more than 25, because 150 divided by 6 feet is 25. So don't drill more than 25 people line up, right?
Yes,
Thank you. Okay.
it was that limit.
Wow.
So
Wow.
here's some information, Liberia water table. They're telling you can dig from 80 to 100 at the highest. But we're gonna get more information. That what was your message to the leaders? So we can let you go and you go do what you were doing.
And my message to the leaders is that in troubling times, and we are in troubling times, we've depended on inter
Mm.
groups. We always say our international partners, our international partners. Now those partners are beginning to take stock and focus on themselves because why? Those who they work with are beginning to work more internally, work more nationalistically
Mm.
than a more foreign view. So therefore, the limited resource that you have, optimize your resources and make sure anything that you undertake, you have a value for your dollar, so that your people can. Every resource that we have, many of our resources cannot be replenished. When we use them up, they are gone for good. So therefore, show that you have value for dollar on anything that you try to undertake.
But Dr. Craig, though, I'm a vitro person. This is very troubling. You say don't drill more than 25 people. What out of the 750 feet? They're drilling
I thought you said
100
you
and
had anything to say, you woman.
no, because it just got me,
It
sis
just
and
dawned
boss
on you.
lady.
Okay.
It just dawned on me, boss lady. The man said, this is an expert. The man said, don't drill more than 25 people. We are drilling 125 people. Let your
Thank you.
audience take that.
Thank you.
125 people.
So,
125 people
so your
divided by,
mom,
oh, that's bad.
you can hold on to stuff. Okay, so we're gonna say thank you to Dr. Quay. Thank you so much for your voice. Thank you for bringing your knowledge to us. Like
Thank
Barry,
you,
there
sir.
you have it. Maybe it's not dramatic, it's not, but this is topical. This is important to you, to our survivor. And I think it makes sense. We will go and do our own research, and the next show we will expand on that from his vantage point and from where we gather. Thank you so much, Doc. Good night. Now, Peter, we were going on another issue. Where were we?
Yeah, the second issue, I guess, was the budget, and kind of segues into what we're talking about. Just when we talk about the budget, is how much money do our people in government believe they need to run the country, and what value are we getting from the
For our
money?
money. Yes. So you guys will because I'm gonna get take myself off for a second. So you can expand on that. What are we getting? 100. What are we getting? They're being paid more than the U.S. Paid its leader. What are we
Yes.
getting?
So when you look at the budget, right, this is not something I really dwell on a lot because we know that people come into government just to take advantage of the lack of oversight and to have the ability just to take money, because we've never had a government that got investigated. We've never had anyone who went to jail for corruption in Liberia.
Nope.
Um, so if we look at the budget, right? So when I say, I don't like saying the budget, it just sounds too general, right? Um, it it is the amount of money that our government is telling us that they need to run the country.
Thank you.
And it's almost $800 million. Let that sink in. It's almost $800 million. Not $800 million where they tell us we're going to build a school, we're going to build schools, we're going to pay to prepare doctors, we're going to pay to prepare educators, we're going to equip our our security force. Okay, we're going to get all this industrial infrastructure. No, reoccurring expenses. That means almost 90%, about 87% of that budget is just to pay salaries. What these people are literally doing is, as we collect taxes, some Dr. Quay said that is very profound, and I'm hoping that didn't go over a lot of people's head. He says most of the resources that we have in Liberia, they are finite. They cannot be replenished. So when we talk about how our gold is being extracted right now on an industrial scale without any oversight, it is finite. I need our people to remember Ghana was once called the Gold Coast for a reason.
Yep.
There's no more gold there. There are a lot of crevices where there used to be gold. The question is, what happened to the gold? Well, the gold got extracted. Once that's gone, there's no replacing it. So the urgency of having a really good person as a leader is very, very, very important. And I don't want I want to belabor that point. I don't want that point to just go over our heads. The resources that we have that we can use to help the lives of our children is finite. That means it runs out. And none of us know when it's going to run out. One of the reasons why America didn't want to tap into the oil reserves, and they were buying oil from the Middle East for a long time, although America has a lot of oil, is because they're saying we don't know when that oil is going to run out. We want to make sure that we had our oil in case that runs out and we still need it. We're not thinking in the future. The type of leaders we have don't think about the future. Almost $800 million. Sis Yama, what are we doing with $800 million? And can you see a country that has $800 million budget? Does that look like a country? When you go to Liberia, does that look like a country where the government is spending $800 million on building human capital, building our people, building
Peter,
schools?
though, the $800 million, 97% of them goes in a pocket. Here it is. When we were at $500 million, 98% were going in the pocket. When we added another $100 million, they adjusted their salary to take all of the money to make sure that the people do not change. So every now and then they will open a little space and let somebody in, like they're creating their own class of people. And for you to for them to let you in, there's certain things that you have to adhere to. You become a member of their community, but they're not serving the people. And I think, and this is it. I said the other night, and a lot of people got mad, and people were calling me. Some of them say, "Oh, you're gonna go take your pressure pills. You're gonna go do this." Listen, when I leave, I climb in a beautiful bed by a very intelligent husband every night. I've done that for almost 30 years. So no, I have no pressure pills. I will get and go to work if I want to. If I don't want to, I'm not going to go. But when it comes to Liberia, Peter, I just got a call. Somebody called to give a compliment to say they have heard a lot of people, but our show, they love it. They're not interested. They have never been interested in politics because most of the time it's this, is that. But the way we talk, the way we articulate the information, they're very proud. The person said they will call on Saturday back because I told them we're still live to talk to us and just say we should continue to do what we do. We're speaking the truth and
I think
try to get it. They try to get it on the air, but we're about to be on the air again. So that will help. So I wanted to give the compliment. So and Peter, they have no intention for the nation to change. Guess what? How many Liberian presidents have died out of the country? Okay. Emma Sawyer died out of the country. Ruth Perry died out of the country. Most of the lawmakers died out of the country. Either in India, it used to be America, now it's India, it's China, Ghana, Kenya. Why would they change, Peter? Why would they invest in a country when they can leave to go seek medical attention? Why would they build a hospital? Why would they build a healthcare
Yep.
system? I
Yep.
can tell you for free, at least 25% of our workforce in America, within the women, they're nurses, nurse practitioner. Most of them now getting their doctorate in nursing. Why would you want to get them to retire, to train? I remember in the early 90s, like mid-90s, America was going around the world recruiting nurses with master's degree to come, because that generation was phasing out because they didn't pay a lot that time, to train and retrain young Americans. Bringing in teachers. Right now, we're recruiting math teachers. In fact, one of the math teachers at my school, he's a Ghanaian. They hire him from Ghana here. So why would they invest in the people? Why would they put money aside to build more roads, Peter, when they are coming to put a salary on and you have to move in the way? Even if they leave their house at 9 o'clock when they're supposed to be in I'm just giving you a common example, at 10 o'clock, but they leave the house. Why would they bring gasoline and make it competitive, or let the market drive, okay, what the people buy when they get all the money? Why would somebody in Liberia get 800 gallons of gas a month and they go sell it? Why would they? So everything they do is intentional, Peter. We're not getting anything for our money. And until we, the citizens, stand up, okay? You know, what is this guy? The name will come to mind. He was a revolutionary. He revolutionary. He said the revolution is not like an apple. It does not get red and fall. Okay? You must go for it. And freedom is not free. And people who enslave you will never let you go unless you fight. And that's why I like, the white people, all like Martin Luther King, but Malcolm X is always my MVP, okay? Malcolm X is just like Du Bois was, okay? The white people like Washington, okay? Because Washington said, oh, equality must be gradual, we must earn it. After you've been enslaved for 200 years, you fought and get the chin off of you. You go to war, you come back, they turn around, they kick you in the back, all right? That's not the case with Liberia. Liberia, the men who have balls, I'm sorry, they may not have gone the way they planned, but the men who have balls, they stood up in 1980. I'm not saying that what should happen. They have balls. They were babies. They were 29. They were 30. They were 21 years old. They have balls. The reason most of y'all can say what you want to say. The reason most of you that a Bouaka is the president today, because those men have balls. The reason that a Mo Ali can make $100,000 today, because those men have balls. How they came and how they end up, you know what? We all live and we all have made mistakes. But I can say this much. They stood up. They have balls. So when you're sick like animals that have been tied to be taken to the slaughterhouse, then you say, oh, you come for please put $1 in my phone. My daughter died in the hospital. You please help me. Good heart. We're coming to a place that even as good heart that we have, we will not be able to leave money, Peter, because we need it ourselves, especially this time in the United States and all around the world. Everyone is cutting back. What people are cutting back, they are increasing. What's his name? Gafwan increased finance budget over 65 million. But he's telling us, our people, they must go pray. But he increased his budget. It's like you go to the church, Peter. The pastor, you tell pastor, my car broke down. He said, my son, my daughter, I will pray for you. But when the pastor car breaks down, they make the congregation to collect money to go
pay for it. I
feel right. That's my analogy. There's no value for the money.
Yeah.
They are there to start to enrich and steal from the people and lie to the people. It was never about the people.
Yeah. So, Sis Yama, you can jump in. Well, I think she's on pause. That's fine.
Yeah, I was on pause. Hey, welcome to LEC. Liberian Electrical. What's the C for Peter?
I think,
Corporation?
I think it's corporation. Yes.
Corporation. You see? I always got Peter. Peter is last section, the last section, in segment, Peter did talk about the word finite in relation to the budget. I told you I always piggyback off for Coach Q. So the budget first is he said it was finite, like so finite means finite resources, limits or bound. What are our limits? What are our bounds? What does the budget depicts when it comes to budget versus GDP? If our GDP is $700 per household, that what IMF said. Are we even giving? Forget about half a percent, half, and 50%. Are we even? Is each household getting even 1/3 GDP of the budget? Are we? So what is 700 divided by 2, 350 divided by another thing? So 175. Yesterday I went to the kids. I adopted a house. Trust me, no household got 175 $175 per household. You will be hard pressed if you can find a household, not the elite, the household that even bring in $100 per household US dollars when our GDP is 750. So when the least of these, I like to measure my success. I love that term. You are your weakest link. Because if you cannot measure yourself and feel comfortable in your measurement, so the least of these, Liberia, I get a story. I grew up in Detroit. Not grew up, but my young adulthood was in Detroit. Every 2 or 3 blocks, like a liquor store, it's a liquor store. In Liberia, every 2 or 3 blocks, it's a church.
My, not even 2 or 3 block, every block.
It's a church. So if we are following the teaching of God as evidenced by every 2 or 3 blocks is a church. So if the least of these is not reflected in our GDP, and it certainly is not reflected in our budget, the national budget, we in for crude awakening. I don't want to be an alarmist, but knowing what happened yesterday in the country that I'm breathing the same air, I will, I will invoke the alarmists. We are in for a crude awakening because when the budget does not signify or does not depict or reflect the IMF GDP, and I'm even saying even 20% of that household. If you cannot find a household that have $100 that comes into a household, into a my neighbor has a zinc shack. I can go and ask her tomorrow for next week Thursday if she consistently brings in 20%, which is $100 of our national budget at home.
You don't even have to ask her. 3.6 million of the Liberian people live below the poverty line.
That is
Okay.
that is
Okay.
that is
Okay.
that is alarming. So
Okay.
I'm not an alarmist. I hate when people be alarmist, but it is alarming. Sorry, people. We are where we are. So when Coach Q, which I always draw my talking point from, he said it's finite resources. Finite is a verb. Limit or end. Our natural resources is not what we depend on. So that's this when people say Liberia is rich. No. According to Coach Q, we have a finite limit to it. That's why when Sister City said America has all, but they rather go get it from somewhere else so they can save what they have for generations to come. We got Wologisi Mountain. That's the only mountain that haven't been touched yet. But what happened to Bone Mines? What happened to Blanco? They were there for well over 20 years, and we did not have our system in place to do a check and balance. Just the other day, a little boy found a diamond in Yekepa that worth arguably over $2 million. Do we know what was excavated from all those from the mountains, from Lamco and Bone Mine all these years? The war came to the left. Go to Bone Mines is a ghost town. Lamco is the same. Firestone is a second, third. So we cannot rely on our natural resources if it does have a finite point or end point, and we have the irresponsible lawmakers that don't make the necessary contracts to save those natural resources. But that is human capital, responsibility, accountability for $800 million budget, where the diaspora in 2024 matched that budget. It's a shame. It's alarming. I do not like alarmists, but tonight, the 28th of February 2025, I will invoke my right to be alarmist on Second Thought Liberia. We are in for a cruel awakening.
Sis,
Thank you, Sis Yama. Let's go ahead and go to Peter.
yeah, so I want to jump in right now, and I want to again pick up where Sis Yama left off. I am going to be an alarmist because we have to be. I'm going to repeat what I said. I am going to be an alarmist because we have to be. Somebody got to say the house is on fire. Here is why. We need a call to action.
Yeah, we do.
And it's an urgent call to action. We need a referendum right now on what and who we are picking to lead. 2 reasons. The first reason is what I said. Our resources are finite. They're going to run out. We don't know when. We don't know when. So the golden diamond, and as soon as those resources are gone, those foreigners who are extracting them on an industrial scale, they are also gone. They don't care if you're starving. They're going back to their homes. They're going back to all the savings they have, and they're going to live.
Did you hear it? Did you hear, Coach Q, what you just said? Second thought. When the resources are gone, they don't care if you're starving. Let that sink in.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to go back and live in Lebanon. They're going to go back to India. They're going to go back to China and live their lives. And our children are going to, and we are going to be stuck. Second reason why I have to be an alarmist, because someone's got to raise the alarm, is because the remittances are also finite.
Thank you.
What I mean. You're talking to a kid who lived in Lamco camp. Yes, the Lamco you talk about, we live right in Buchanan, live in the camp.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
100%. Okay. We lived in what's called Unyon. There was a loop in Unyon. There was just 2 camps. Okay. We lived in the loop, and we lived, even though my dad didn't work for Lamco, but he did business with them, so we got to live there. All right. So here's why that is important. We have a connection to Liberia. I do. Not just because my naval seat was buried there. It's because we breathe the air. We walked on those dusty roads. We sat in the Cup buses, and the dust came in. We did that. We
Yeah.
went for Flag Day. We did those things. We're Liberian,
Yeah.
but the time is coming
You just
where
flip on us that we are Liberian. Yes, that it is true. We are 100%. Go ahead, Peter. Yes.
the time is coming where it's close to our retirement. You know who are not really Liberians? Who don't understand what Buckabut is when after it rains? Our children. They're not
Yeah.
remitting money back to Liberia. We are still doing it because of the connection we have. So what
Yeah.
happens when our resources dry off, and which is going to because it's happened everywhere else?
It's gonna be finite.
Okay, what happens when it dries out and the remittances dry out? Guys, you have to understand this. Wait till the recast this budget based on what Trump did. Guess who's not going to be short? They're not going to not take their money. They're going to say we have to redo this whole budget because we expected to have another 500 something million. They're already setting that up. If you think the 2% they're sending to our hospitals right now is low, wait to the same 0.0002 to the hospital.
Mm.
Now your family members who get sick, God forbid, it's in a car accident. Where's the emergency care going to come from? These people don't know how to take the resources that we have and multiply them. Joseph Boyka has never done that. When have you heard this man passionately speak about the well-being of our people and how to assuage that, the suffering of our people? How do you ameliorate those suffering that's happening? How do you bring it down? When have you heard him talk about the need and the urgency to create a middle class and a class of spenders, or to create this army of doctors and engineers and lawyers, or people who are going to build the country to compete? This is all we're asking for. Someone who's preparing us for what's to come. We are literally picking the wrong people based on the man on CDCN. What are you talking about? And the problem that I have with these people is they wait to create an emergency and then wait to be a victim.
Right.
And then make it seem like it's us who want something. That's what we're pointing out. The disparity in Liberia between the classes of the rich, which are all government people, and the poor. Discrepancies is the word I was looking for. We don't stand to benefit from that. But guess what? If that same thing happened in this country or anywhere I'm at, I'm going to speak against injustice. And that's what's going on in Liberia. And I'm asking, the call to action is everyone has to speak up. Not just Yasendi, not just Anse Shaman, not just me. We should all speak up because of our integrity. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with Young B. Conga Lawrence taking home $500,000 a year? And Joseph Boyka almost $6 million a year? When someone's generator gets more fuel than our kids get food in their belly, over thousands of kids get food in their belly, so the generator is more important than those people's pain and suffering, and you just carry on like it's no big deal. Don't you have a heart? Isn't that immoral? What are you willing to fight for? There are literally people who died for us to have a country. The reason you have a passport, the reason you have a flag is only because there are people who made major sacrifices. Yasendi talked about those people from 1980. You do know before 1980, there was a caste system, right? And if you are native Liberians, your chances of upward mobility or going to a school that actually educated you was extremely low, right? So let's talk about the sacrifice. Yes, he killed people. I'm still yet to hear what you would have done different to displace those people. I want to hear someone articulate that to me. take them to a system and a court that they built so they can be trial there? How are you going to displace them so that they can come back and kill you like they're going to do? Let's say that man did the most wrong. It doesn't matter. The country was now handed to us. Are you okay with the fact that our people are still living like that? Those of us who are here in this country, you okay with that? You okay with the fact that these people are taking a lion's share of the money? How much Godfather is getting paid? This man's getting paid $56,000 a month. You okay with that? Why they're begging? Their legislatures are getting paid more than the American legislature. Joseph Boyka is getting paid 7 times as much as Donald Trump.
The U.S. president. Yeah. And you say
and we just sit there and say, and then when you say something, they attack you and call you names. And do you understand what the Stockholm syndrome is? It's when slaves start to defend their masters and think that's okay. Not it's okay. Those people are right. You're wrong. And they ask you, where were you? Where was I supposed to be? I was where your parents wanted you to be. If it was up to all the parents, they'll put their children in the best position so they can have the most information so they can make a better future. Isn't that what you want for your own children? Or do you not want that for your own children? So the reason we want information is so we can come back and help our people, just like you want your child to come back and help the family. Well, we came to this people's country and we got information. I don't want a job in Liberia. That's not why I'm speaking. The job I really do is not in Liberia. There's no possibility of me working the job I do now in Liberia. I coach American football. Tell me who's going to hire me in Liberia to do that. The point is, we see injustice. There are people hurting. Does that matter to your conscience? We talk about being religious people. Are you okay with that as a religious person? That's why we speak. And you gotta be brave enough when those people come at you and call you names. You can't stop speaking. The call to action is we need to have a referendum. Things cannot continue the way it is. We've got to hand the power back to the people. We've got to cut down their salaries. We've got to have our people rise up so that happens. We've got to invest in our people. That's how every nation was built. We've got to do that. We must invest in our children. We must build schools. We must build hospitals. Must. There's a must. There's no ands, if, or buts about it. Unless you invest in the people, when you invest in the people who built the country. We are literally investing in politicians who build homes in other countries like South Africa, Burkina Faso, and Ghana. And then when their time is gone, them and their children get to leave the country. That's what bothers me. That's not fair. That's not okay. And I'm willing to fight for it. My question is, are you guys willing to fight for it? Or are you just okay with watching them put a man who stole a bike or whatever else, they beat up a whole bunch of other people, some old speakers or whatever. But meanwhile, the government officials who's taking millions of dollars and destroying their children's future, they're applauding them. That's a slave's mentality. Are you okay with watching slavery in your country? I'm gonna stop here for now, Cindy.
Okay, we didn't get to talk about Peter Sesnyama, about the justice system. Maybe we can kind of just bring it up a little bit. Okay. We learned that although children were arrested, put in jail, and have been in jail for maybe over a month now, some of the children declared that they were molested, they were tortured allegedly, but we have said on this platform, based on our own research and understanding of the climate in Liberia, that Liberia do not have fire people who are specialized in fire investigation or forensic arts and forensic science. Okay, we are learning now that yesterday, experts started arriving in the country. Then the question I begs and the answer is, Based on what did we arrest those young people and put them in jail? And what does the Constitution say about grabbing people and putting them in jail? Our rights protected as Liberian citizens. And that's what I wanted to talk about, and maybe we can expand on that sometime this week. All right. Um, how did they derive where they are? Is it because the president says it was hooligan that burned the place down? If you ask me, my words are still the same. If it was not natural causes, I still think the majority black burned it because they stand to gain. It cannot be the minority black because they don't stand to gain anything. You are putting them out.
Mhm.
Okay. So I want to also talk about it a little bit. We got 6 minutes, so we can take like 2 minutes each and just went over it. I mean, go over it and see where we are, what our understanding where we are. What do we know about these people that are coming into the country? What country are they coming from? What are their profiles? Do we know? Do we hire people to work for us? But then we're not their slave. They act like they're not answerable to us. Peter, Sajama.
It's crazy. And so in that light, and my light is flickering here, so I don't know what happened to this solar panel, but let me just I'm gonna use this as my closing. If I
Okay,
can, if we go longer, then I can say something else. But
that's
in
fine.
closing, I would say, life is finite, so we should live it to the fullest. Um, finite can also be used for more tangible things. What I want to ask my second thought audience, please share the show and please come back and rewatch. Finite can also be used for more tangible things. What are our tangibles? Is it our flag, this the stripes and the star, the lone star? Is that our tangibles? Is it our education system? We know that was a cynical laugh I just did. We know we are the least in the subject when it comes to education. What is our tangibles? Is it our health care? Laughable. We do not, you cannot have a hemodialysis problem, a renal issue. You must deport yourself to nearby Ghana to have 3 times a week dialysis. It's this disease process.
Okay, her assistant is back. Peter, you can come in.
Yeah, so it is absolutely deflating just to think about the level of bullying that's going on in our country while we watch. I often ask people when I have these vicious interactions with these people on Facebook, what would you
I'm
have
so
done?
sorry. I'm so sorry. I came back. Well, it's LEC. Sometimes you just freeze. I don't know where did that start. Can you remind me and Coach
Peter,
Q, where did
Peter,
that start?
Jama, Peter was in flight. Let him finish, then you can come
Okay,
in.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Lance.
yes.
Yeah, so and this is going to be quick. So I often ask people if they're okay with what's going on in Liberia. I want to talk about value added, right? So somebody says something about, well, let's publish these, how much these people are making. Young Conga Lawrence is making over 500,000 US dollars per year.
Oh wow.
The figures that I'm saying is based on her benefits and her pay. Not only that, how much is she getting paid by foreigners for influence? so that they can extract gold, diamonds. They can't pay their taxes. Just influence alone. How many millions more that Liberia is supposed to get, but some of a fraction goes to her so that those people are not held accountable? Why are we paying? What value is Youngblee adding to Liberia that she deserves 500,000 Liberian dollars?
BS. BS value. BS value.
Thomas Fala, $208,000. What value is he adding to the country? I'm just talking about straight numbers.
Second degree BS value.
They're not. I'm not talking about their
Nothing.
generators, their houseboy, the fact that they can take allowances, they have entertainment, their constituency fee, visiting fee, their when they talk about their scholarships, we are paying for the scholarships. They put that in the budgets so she can offer scholarships to kids so they can vote for her, so they can say, oh, she gives scholarships to these kids
And
that
so
we
they
paid
can
for.
also watch it and defend her.
Yes. And then come on Facebook and call people homosexuals and you're clean poo-poo and
Call people prostitute. You got to work for everybody, make up stories. Yes.
Yeah. So we are paying them to pay people to do that. Why is Joseph Boycott getting paid over $6 million? 3.7 million just in salary alone. Not all
He's so brilliant. He is so brilliant.
What value are they adding to our people's lives? And why? Why are we paying them that? When there's so much more we can do. We have no schools. We have no electric grid. Everyone's Mount Coffee. That's not how it is done in any other place. Sectionalize that. Do little power sources. Universities here have their own power stations.
Yep.
Why are we still paying for? Is this the epitome of the intelligence we have? Do we really have to use generators? At which point do you say, maybe we should just give them solar so that way we don't have to pay for that no more and save that money? More Ali just did solar. I think it cost Liberian $280 billion for 2 solar panels that he put on that little hut that he built. Why are we doing this? Why are we allowing that to happen? If you could go back to slavery time and you watch our mothers and our sisters get ripped out of their homes so the master can go and rape them, you'll be okay with that? You watch our babies get sold, you'll be okay with that? Or you say, you know what? Hang me. I'm not going to stand for this anymore. And we sit there and we're allowing it to happen to our people right now as we speak. We see the exorbitant prices all these people get away with it. Weir comes in, he built all these mansions, all these homes. We let them get away with it. No wonder why they could just come.
One they're going to do this. That they came to do this.
So my question is, who gets to say enough is enough? When do we do that? Once the call to action say nope, the power goes back to the hand of people. We need to be able to de-elect these people. That means remove them. That's why it's in the Constitution.
We need to recall them.
We need a recall election where the citizens can say, we don't want you to serve out your term. There's in the American Constitution, in democracy. It has to be some accountability. There is no accountability. That's why this is going on. Did you expect the rule of law of a person that came in and illegally remove a Speaker of the House so that he can be the regime speaker? He can put in a regime speaker? And the guy who said, go bust his car door, give me the drill. That's the rule of law. Those are people who are upholding constitutional what? Do you guys think those are punchlines? No, that's how you keep peace and prosperity and the pursuit of happiness for everyone. When we all follow the rule of law. You guys are okay with watching the guy sit and red ants biting him because he stole something? Don't you think that's barbaric? If you're sitting with someone, have you sat with anyone who's not from our country to see our country? How did that make you feel? Do you have no Nigerian friends and no Ghanaian friends? They don't tell you nothing? That don't bother you? They don't make fun of you a little bit? then you don't have any real friends. They laugh at us. That don't bother you? We're not doing anything to make us proud. What value has boycott added to Liberia since 1970? Name one. Why are you defending him? Why are you defending him? Why are you defending any of these people? We need a call to action. We need to take back our government. We need to galvanize. We need to call people back home. We need to galvanize our people. We need to take back our government. This is not a personal thing, but it is personal. It's for your character. Are you okay with that? That's all I want to know. Are you okay with what's going on? If not, you need to do more. Whatever it is we're doing right now is not enough. I'll stop here, y'all.
So before we say goodnight, and I say goodnight, Bill. I made that statement
Cynthia,
because
can I just land and finish my train of
yeah,
thought?
finish your journey, then I'll finish.
I know
Okay.
you guys gotta for the next. I'm here for a month. So for the next today's one, so that for the next three Thursday night at 8 o'clock, you guys gotta give me grace because I am in the land of the harmonization of the LEC. Okay.
All right. Go ahead and finish your thought. So
Anyway, I don't know where I stopped, but I was
Mhm.
saying earlier, life is a finite, so we should live to be. We should live it to the fullest, because life is ending. You gotta live to the fullest. And I did ask a question: what is it? I mean, finite can also be used more for our tangible things. What are our tangibles? Is it our flag? Um, I mean, it's our education. I know the answer is no. Coach Q is the education educator, and boss lady is the educator. So we know we do not even compare. So I would just deduce that the answer is no. Oh, it is our healthcare. I'm a healthcare professional. The answer is really no. It's not one of our tangibles. Is it our Wolagizi Mountains? God has been generous, but we do not know what's in the mountain. If we could go there, it could be all crap. So even though we have histories of people trying to sell the mountain, we do not know what's in it. So um, we don't know what's in it. So is it our rule of law, one of our tangibles? Well, knowing that we have two speakers is no. Bear in mind, viewers, Coach Q said it's finite. That's her end. And we should live it to our fullest. So I'm just trying to debate what is our tangibles. It's not the rule of law. What is it? Is it our proximity to the Atlantic Ocean? Okay. Sunday I'm gonna take my nieces on the beach. What's that gonna do for our development of our nation? All it's gonna do for me, I work for Meta, it's just gonna give me some nice pictures. It ain't gonna do nothing to the little boy I met today that say he don't want to be a police officer or an AFL man or army man. He said in his words. So what is it? What should it be? Oh, I know what it should be, and I know BDEC will add to what our finance should be, what our tangibles should be. Viewers of Second Thought and yesterday Martin Bay and Coach Q. It should be investment in our human capital, in our equity, in our maternity health, so we can birth the new generation in an environment of integrity, in an environment of um. So when the new generation is birthed and the grandmothers tell the story of how the grandchild was birthed, it shouldn't be you were birthed on the farm, in the sugarcane farm, and you bled and they thought you were going to die. No, we're not staying for that. That shouldn't be our finite. That shouldn't be our new generation story. I'm sure Sister City and you even Coach Q. I was born in EAW Hospital. I was on Shuffling Highway today. And I could point to the boy in the hospital and I said, EAW Junction. I said, guess what, driver? I was born in the hospital. That should be every Liberian born today story 15, 20 years later. That's what is called tangibles. It should be our pursuit to exceed, not to meet our GDP, but to exceed it. For each household to have a GDP of $1,000 or even $2,000 GDP. It should be our finite, our tangible, to be patriotic, to be proud of our country and our humanity. So when you say this 2025 Boss Lady and Coach Q, we have failed miserably in our finite, in our living as a country to our fullest. So we have work to do. It's sad. I was proud. We clapped in the airplane when the pilot landed 72 hours ago because we landed safely because we had some turbulence. I was happy when I met my best friend so I could come and help her bury her mom. I was proud. When I walked into a compound, what she have done in 6 years, I was proud. But it all dissipated yesterday when AFL fought the police and little children trivialized that I don't want to be a police officer. I don't want to be AFL. That thing rocked me today. So that's my closing. I was happy I was home. I was happy for the first 48 hours. The last 24 hours took it away. I know the next 72 hours, I'm going to be burying two loved ones, my best friend mother and my mother's oldest brother. We need to do better as a country. It is sad. But since I've committed to this work between you, Yasini, and once in a while, Emmerich and Paul Bismack, we shall move forward. We cannot relent in our effort to play our part to keep Liberia forward.
Thank you,
That's
Sister.
that for next. Thank you.
And our deepest sympathy to you and to Sis
Thank
Gwen.
you.
And with your prayers are with you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna land here first. Simply, Bill, I spoke exactly, my dear. You know me. Normally, I will allege, but the president said it was hooligans. He was showing out the hooligans and the behavior that being exhibited so far, bursting into the office of the speaker, breaking down the place, and that's why I said if it is not natural disaster, I have attributed to natural disaster. But the president I said was people. You were defending it that it was people who burned down the place, and I'm saying opportunity means we had it. Is the majority is blocked because I've been to that mansion, that capital so many times a night, at least in the last 3 years, where you have security, you have armed men with rifle gun or machine guns standing and guarding it. It is not possible for the day that there was a protest at that place where people were flocked, taken to jail, that they abandoned the capital. But I hear what you say. We're gonna move on. Peter, somebody just said hi to you. Um, to go, Liberian people, this is your fight. You have to stand up. Okay, you have to stand up. Marco X once said, when you push a man and he pushes back and you continue to push and he pushes back, eventually he will get to the wall and he will come back. Now, when do you get to your wall? I don't know. Okay. When will you come back? I don't know. Hopefully you will come back and you will come back soon. All right. The budget does not depict that you are the priority. The budget is a map it speaks to the nation's priority. And in this light, the priority of this government is to make sure, as Bwaka nephew has said, from where in the one hour in Rhode Island, what's his name? I know his name. He said in 6 months you are going to be a millionaire. When you send somebody to our as a governor, you remove the governor for no reason because you find nothing wrong with him, but want to pay him millions of dollars just to bring in your nephew to pay him $56,000 a month. And you tell me the nation is poor. It is telling you, you and your children can die. You can go to hell for all the care. They can tell you, you can go pray because that's what you know how to do both. And you can stay on your knees till God call you home. They don't give a fig. Now, will you watch your children die? Will you not fight back? Will you not stand up? Will you not speak up? That is the question to you. The budget does not show that they care about you. You are not a priority. And you will continue to beg. You will continue to sing for their children. You will continue to be their drivers, their houseboy, wherever. The sex slave and your daughters, they will bring you a bag of rice to sleep with your little daughters that they've always done. So I'm going to say good night. We went way over tonight. Peter, Sis Yaman, thank you so much. And I think the information from Dr. Paya was very powerful, was very important. I'm going to cut that part and try to play it. Thank you, Peter. Y'all have a good night. Thank you, Sis Yaman. Go get some sleep because in the morning now your time. Bye.
It is 3:15. It's 3:15 in the morning, and I have 2